Hello there, my name's Iain Maitland. I'm a crime writer. You'll not have heard of me. You'll not recognise me any more than you would your Amazon delivery driver. And that's because I'm relatively new to crime writing. I had a career in the loosest possible sense of the word as a freelance writer for about 25 years or so, writing about property overseas and UK and currency exchange rates and forward contracts and all sorts of weird and wonderful things that I never really understood. I then got into my early 50s and decided that if I didn't write creatively, I never would, and that would have been a huge regret. So far I've written three crime novels for Contraband, the crime imprint of Saraband Books. The first one was Sweet William, which came out at the end of 2017. And it's the story of Raymond Orry, a man who's been locked up in a psychiatric unit awaiting assessment and trial for the death of his wife. He breaks out and goes on the run to track down his fostered toddler son who's somewhere in Suffolk. If he can find him, he'll then run away with William, from the title, to the south of France and start a new life. So that was my first one. The next one came out last year and has been picked up for television by Abbott Vision. They made Cracker and Shameless, and they're looking to bring this to TV as a 6-part series in the next year or so. And it's Mr. Todd's Reckoning. It's the story of Malcolm and Adrian Todd, father and son, both unemployed, both stuck together in a small and cramped bungalow on the outskirts of Ipswich. It's the longest, hottest summer since records began, and tensions and strains are showing, and one of them is a psychopath. So my latest book is The Scribbler. Now this is the first of a detective duo series of books starring Roger Gaither and Georgia Carey. Georgia Carey is a sort of a newly created DC, and she's full of vim and vigour, and she wants to go out and solve crimes. Gaither is a Morse-like character who's tired and old and beaten up. They've both been put in charge of a new LGBTQ plus cold cases section at Suffolk Police, and their job is to go back over cold cases back into the 1990s, the 1980s and earlier, to see if they can solve them using modern technology and processes. A case comes up almost straight away, a live, fresh case. A man has died and he has the telltale signs of the Scribbler, who was a serial killer going back into the 1980s. The Scribbler's back, and can Gaither and Carey stop him before he strikes again? Looking back over the books that I've written, lockdown is strangely a theme that runs through all of them. Raymond Orry is locked up in a psychiatric unit. Father and son, Malcolm and Adrian Todd, are shut away in a bungalow. And the Scribbler, I can't say too much about the Scribbler, but the lockdown theme is again in there. And I think the reason for that is that I've been a professional writer one way or the other for about 30 years now. So lockdown is something in a way that I'm used to. I've spent, like a lot of us who are writers, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, sitting at a desk writing. And that's tough in a way, certainly on mental health. And I think, like a lot of writers, you have to work quite hard to make sure that you keep your mental health in good nick. So I swim, or I did swim every morning. I now walk my dog for an hour. And I work during the day, and I break that up. I usually call a friend once or twice, and I pick up emails or read newspaper headlines online and all sorts of things just to break up the day. I sit down and watch a bit of television with my son if he's at home at lunchtime. And then at the end of the day, I used to go up the town and get any bits and bobs and have a coffee with my wife, Tracy. Now we sit and watch a DVD, and I do a bit of gardening. So mental health is very important, and it's something I think that as writers we're probably better equipped to handle than a lot of people. I work actually in an attic. We live by the sea, got a nice house by the sea at Suffolk. So if I look out that window, I can see the sea, and I can see all the big boats going backwards and forwards into and out of Felixstowe Port. Christmas is a really smashing time. We get this massive, huge, I don't know what you call it, mega boat, whatever that might be, and it's stacked high and wide and long and all the way round with presents for Christmas, obviously helping out Father Christmas. This way I've got a little skylight, and I look up towards the town of Felixstowe. I set all my books in Felixstowe in Suffolk because that's where I live and that's where I've spent most of my life. So I know all the scenes, I know all the locations, and I think like a lot of writers it really helps if you've got in your head the location where you're writing. It's quite a small room. We converted the attic. We've got 2 rooms. This is my little workspace. My wife has an equal small space, small room really, which she stores all her gin bottles. I have a happy wall which is up there usually, but I've popped some of it behind me now so that you can see it. So I think you can probably just see a photo of my dog Dolly, who was a Greek dog, street dog funnily enough. We've had her for a couple of years now. She's normally down here by my feet, but it's a really sunny day, and when it's sunny she likes to go downstairs and sit and find a sunny spot and sits there. I've also got, this is a picture that a drawing rather, that my son did. That's on what I might call my happy wall. Lots of things. I've got a picture of Southwold up there with the pier. Absolutely love Southwold, and I've told my wife and children that when I die I want to be thrown off the end of the pier. That's not my corpse, obviously, my ashes. And they've agreed to do that, subject to wind directions. So this is my oldest son Michael, fabulous artist, and he's done, and some of you will recognise, lots of drawings of Doctor Who characters. So I sit here from 9 to 4 writing, 9 to 5 with my happy wall and taking my breaks and watching the boats and looking up towards Felixstowe, and generally have a very happy life, and that's it. And hopefully we'll meet up soon. You now know what I look like and who I am, so when we're out of lockdown, if you come across me at a festival or a book launch or a book signing or other event, please do come up and say hello. Thank you. Goodbye.